one of the main things that I learned is, like I said, before I got into your program, I knew or heard about government contracts, and I always thought it was federal. And so one of the eye openers for me is all the things that you teach to learn, like, oh gosh, there's contracts at all different levels. Like that, I really never knew about. I always just heard about federal, registering with SAMs. And I even did that before in the past, just because somebody told me that's what you do. But I had no idea that wasn't even like the half of it. You understand what I'm saying? So that was the biggest learning and like aha moment for me. And I'm still peeling the layers back, learning about that as well. But it's just so many more opportunities that I'm learning about that I did not know about just from being in your program. Like I said, I always thought of it was just federal. And now I'm learning, it's like a whole nother ball game. So some of the biggest milestones I've reached in the business so far, I would say, is getting certified. I always heard about certifications, even before I thought about contracting, just being a business owner, a small business owner, a woman, a minority. I always heard about getting these certifications. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. At one point, I think I did a self-certification, and I thought that was it. I thought, oh, I self-certified. I said I'm a minority owned, I'm a woman. I thought that was it. And so your program opened my eyes to like, no, that's not it. You actually have to go through a process to be certified, so that was like a big milestone for me. So now I actually have a lot of the certifications, and certificates to show I'm certified. So that was a game changer for me, even outside of contracts, even on the loan signing part of it. I've been able to use some of those certifications with getting with some new title companies, like within the last couple months, that have, a like kind of a requirement to have to do business with women and minorities. So that's been a game changer for my business just across the board, the certifications. And like I said, I was ignorant and not even knowing kind of how it works and how it can help your business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's been one of the biggest milestones for me. And then obviously, landing the contract, that's huge. But yeah, the certifications have been a game changer as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you mentioned about all the different certifications and that whole process, because a lot of times people are SAM certified. They go through SAM and they're like, they think that's it. And I'm like, okay, well, you just got started, but there's so much more. And then you have to know what to do with the certification. So from that information that you learned about, like taking the steps to look for opportunities and read and respond and stuff, like what was that like for you as a newbie who had never submitted a bid, maybe never, bidded on anything before with the government? What was that process like for you?
It was not as overwhelming as I thought. Like when I first got into the program, I was hearing people like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. It's a lot to read and blah, 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 which I mean, it is, but in the sense that you have to know what you're getting yourself into. You know what I mean? So of course you need to take your time. But I mean, you basically, like I said at the very beginning, you're giving like steps, step by step. So for me, anytime, it is a lot of information, but you just take one step at a time. That's all. So you're giving the steps. All I did was just follow each one in order. You know what I mean? And it's just as simple as that. I think you can get overwhelmed if you're maybe just looking at it as this whole big thing, but you have to break it down into steps and just complete one step a day, or once, you have to give yourself little milestones, and then you'll get through the whole thing, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's how it was for me.
Yeah. So that's the exact reason why I actually break it out in the different phases that I do, so that one step builds upon the next, so that people don't get overwhelmed. A lot of times people want to skip, right? So they want to skip through parts and not really cover this part. And like building a government contracting component to your business is almost like building a building, right? You have to start with the soil first and test it, and before you build the structure and all that stuff. And there's phases, right? So you can't just go to the roof if you haven't even built the first bottom floor. Otherwise, it doesn't work that way, right? So some people try to do that.
Yeah, I want to say I really, really, really like how you have yours built to where you can't advance, because like I said, this is the second course I've taken. It's kind of a blueprint, and the first one I took, I'm the type of person where if I invest in something, I'm going to comb through everything, right? But the other course I took, you can skip ahead. and what I've learned now that I am bringing other people into my business as contractors, I have a requirement that they go through that same certification. But like you said, what I'm learning and noticing, a lot of them I think are skipping through because they're missing pieces, and then they're coming to me wanting me to answer the questions. I'm like, wait a minute, now if you went through the whole program, you would know the answer to that. So I thought it was brilliant how you have yours to where you can't do that, and you're given that week to accomplish everything that's in that module. I think everybody should use that use that type of formula, because I'm seeing a lot of people out here just jumping into stuff, invested in the stuff, and trying to real quick go through it and think they can pull out information real quick. And it's like, no, you can't. There's really no quick way. You got to take your time and really dive in. And I even go back, deal and rewatch things, and multiple times. You can't just try to do something real quick, but a lot of people do that, and it's ineffective.
Yeah, thank you. And you're right about that, because sometimes I'll get questions about, well, such and such, a question that if you go through the program and each step, that question was answered in week 1, like that type of stuff. And so that's the reason why sometimes people are lost because they don't read. Or if you make an investment, like you say, you comb through everything, that's what you're supposed to do. You have to comb through everything and take your time and go through the information and the content, because it's there. And most of all, you have to do the work, right? So you can't be in week 1 talking about how do you be it. Like, no, you have to start. You got to start where you are. That's why. That's why I be telling everybody. I'm like, what week are you on? Oh, you're not even supposed to be way over here. Come on back on over here and do that part.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. So yes. So that's awesome. So a lot of people are on the fence about, should they invest in government contracting education? Is this something that they should do for their business? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I have a few thoughts on that. So first of all, I would want to say, if you're on the fence about this program, I would just say take the leap. However, only take the leap if you're serious, though. You know what I mean? Do not take the leap if you're not willing to do the work that we were just talking about, because the program works. But if you're not willing to do the work and follow the blueprint, then it's kind of like you're wasting your time. But if it's a question, because I had questions myself when I first, like I said, started doing research into your program, I think it's really important to take your time and do research, because everybody doesn't have an effective blueprint. You know what I mean? But I am here to say that yours is definitely effective. So I do think you need to do your due diligence as a business owner, though, to make those determinations. But I'm here to say that yours is the real deal. But you have to be willing to do the work, though. You have to. So if you're on the fence and you're thinking about it, if you're this type of person like me, that you're really in it to win it, then just do it. Just invest in yourself. Really.